Do I have a giant pile of laundry behind me? Yes. Yes, I do. Am I going to fold it right this second? I am not, because I'm here to read chapter 13 of A Change of Tide. Because I have a hot minute and we're going to do it. Chapter 13, Monday, December 17th. December 17th, 2008. Meeting with Nelly yesterday was a fiasco. If Nelly didn't hate us before, she definitely does now. There is no way she'll help us, but I still had to try. Maybe if Emma had backed me up, it wouldn't have been as bad. Even as Nikki wrote the words, a part of her felt the unfairness of them. She rolled off her stomach and sat up in bed. Her legs ached from her morning run, and her hair dripped from her shower. Whatever. I'm going to do what I can to prepare. Like last night, I put the protection spell on my room and practiced with some candles for most of the night. I even had 3 flames going at once, but it still doesn't feel like enough. I need to practice with bigger flames if I want to stand a chance at that bonfire. Nikki looked at the clock by her bed. Cam, she called, hurry up, it's 7:15. Almost done, he called back from the kitchen, the garbled sound of his voice evidence that he was still eating. In 4 days, this will be over. We'll either stop the bonfire or we'll be dead. Or maybe both. I wonder if Mom would talk to me again if I was dead. That's a cheery thought, Nikki said under her breath as she closed her journal, throwing it in her backpack. Cam, she called, let's go. After dropping Cam off at the middle school, Nikki raced to first period French. How she had managed to hit every single red light in the small town she would never know. By some miracle, she managed to get into her seat right as the bell rang. Bonjour, classe, Madame Fleur said. Now, before we begin French, the administration has asked me to remind you to be kind to each other. A student at this school lost his mother on Friday. So remember, you never know what hardships your peers are facing. Alors? Suis gentil. Oui, classe? Oui, madame, the class replied in unison. Très bien, Mademoiselle Rodriguez. This was left in my box for you because French is your first class, Madame Fleur said, handing an envelope to Nikki. S'il vous plaît, attendez après la classe pour l'avoir. I'm so sorry to everybody who speaks French and how badly I butchered that. Oui, madame, merci, Nikki said, taking the envelope. Madame Fleur continued, Maintenant, nous allons ouvrir nos livres à la page 74. While the rest of the class opened their books and turned to page 74, Nikki looked at the envelope. She groaned when she saw the front. Her name was scribbled in her grandmother's handwriting. She crammed it into her backpack, too irritated to be curious about it just now. 17 December 2008. Sometimes I wish I was a fairy and could influence others' feelings. It would make life a lot easier, especially this next history class. Psychic medium magic is useless in this case. I don't need the ability to see auras to see Nikki and Nelly are ready for open war. Emma put her journal in her backpack and glanced at Nikki and Nelly, who sat on opposite sides of the classroom. Move into your groups, Mr. Miranda said, gesturing with a piece of chalk in his hands. I have new questions for you today. I know we're out of school on Wednesday, but that's no excuse to start the holidays early. As the class moved, Mr. Miranda wrote 6 questions on the board and added, Answer these questions today and we can party on Wednesday. Once Nikki and Nelly had scraped desks over, Emma peered at the board and read, Question 1. How do we want to present? Whatever is fine, Nelly said, her arms crossed as she sank into her chair, staring hard at the floor. Why don't we just burn it? Nikki murmured, shooting a side eye at Nelly, who pretended not to notice. Nelly likes to let things burn. Can we leave that outside of the classroom and focus on the project? Emma asked, dropping her voice. Please? How can we? This is where it started, Nikki whispered back. I can do it, Nelly said. I don't know if the witch can, though. How about a poster board? Emma said brightly, even though she knew trying to get them to play nice wasn't going to work. That works for me, Nelly said. Fine, Nikki said. Okay, I will buy it and we can each do our own part on colored paper and then we can glue it to the board. That way we don't have to keep moving the board poster board around between us, Emma said. Works for me, Nelly said. Fine, Nikki said. I can take the center. I'll write our names on the top half and put my part of the project on the bottom half, Emma said, sketching out a rough design on a scratch piece of paper. Nelly, you can take the right, and Nikki, you can take the left. Works for me, Nelly said. Fine, Nikki said. Second question, what information is most important? Emma read. We'll come back to that one. Okay. Sorry. Next, what do our three people have in common? Well, they all had mysterious things happen to them. Jess showing up on the beach one day, Ashlyn getting burned, and my grandma's a mysterious event all on her own. What do you think? Works for me, Nelly said. Fine, Nikki said. Emma looked at the pair of them. They were sitting with a desk between them, each staring at her own corner of the floor. Nelly looked like a tropical storm, one rain cloud away from hitting hurricane status, while Nikki resembled a red supergiant about to supernova at any moment. Emma took a deep breath and relaxed her clenched fists back into open palms. All right, Emma said, flexing her hands. Next question. How can I help my group get an A for the project? Yeah, we'll come back to that one too. Okay, last two. Choose one person that would be the most interesting to meet, and why did you pick that person? Well, this should be easy. We can cross out my grandma since she's still alive. That leaves us with Ashlyn and Jess. To meet during the peak of her life, I think I would pick Ashlyn, only because she's further back in the timeline. The late 1600s must have been an interesting time to live in Salem. How about you two? Works for me, Nelly said. Fine, Nikki said. Honestly, Emma stood up. The entire class quieted, all eyes locked onto her. You two sitting there, arms folded, not looking at each other. How old are you anyway? When you're ready to behave like actual people, come find me. Until then, I'd rather do the project alone. She picked up her bag and stormed to the front of the classroom. I'll be in the library, she told Mr. Miranda, who nodded, simply too stunned to speak. Emma left the classroom and headed straight for the library, just as she had told Mr. Miranda she would. Before she got there, though, she felt overwhelmed with cold. Not here, not now, she whispered, leaning up against a wall, but it was too late. Help me! Help! People screamed. Emma couldn't see them. There was too much smoke. Where was Nikki? Emma saw hot pink blurs. They were the flyers. The pink flyers were scattered everywhere. Emma coughed. She tried to breathe, but there was no air. It was all smoke, all-consuming smoke. Her eyes stung. Her lungs burned. Emma tried to call for Nikki, but she could barely whisper. She was on her hands and knees now, crawling, bumping into something. She looked down. It wasn't a something. It was a someone. Emma still couldn't speak, so she shook the person. She could barely see him through the smoke. She got no response. Suddenly, a huge flame exploded next to her. Emma fell next to the person. Glancing at the profile, she recognized whoever it was, but before she could put a name to the face, everything faded into blackness. Emma, dear, are you all right? The voice came from somewhere above Emma. As her eyes slowly refocused, gaining hold of the physical world, they snapped shut. It was too bright here. Emma tried to speak, but her throat burned. She coughed instead. Her head was sore, and her left wrist throbbed like it had a heartbeat all its own. She took slow, deep, intentional breaths. The air was cool and tasted sterile. Rochelle, she's waking up, the same voice said. Emma recognized it this time. Nurse Albright? Yes, dear, the old woman said. Emma, are you okay? Rochelle said. Emma opened her eyes again. It wasn't quite so bright anymore. Where am I? She asked, trying to sit up. No, lie down. Em, you're in the nurse's office. I got a call. You ran out of class. One of the teachers saw you faint in the hallway, Rochelle said, adding meaningfully, was it an episode? You see, when Emma was younger, her visions used to overpower her regularly. For Emma's early years, Amy, that's Emma's mother, if you remember, had dealt with this by homeschooling. However, when Amy had died, Rochelle and Ethel had come up with the idea of telling the school Emma had a medical condition, which caused her to lose consciousness for small moments of time. It didn't make Emma popular with the other kids, but it gave the teachers a logical justification to explain away Emma's unusual behavior. So when Rochelle said episode, Emma knew exactly what she was referencing. I'm trying to read the sentence that I wrote a long time ago and not reading what the sentence actually says right now. So when Rochelle said episode, Emma knew exactly what she was referencing. Yeah, Emma said, touching her still sore head. You haven't had one of those in years, dear, Nurse Albright said. She had been the nurse at Emma's elementary school. Emma had seen less and less of her over the years. This was the first time they'd seen each other at the high school, though the nurse looked exactly the same, bright green eyes, short perm dark hair, and a handful of hard candies in her pocket. It's probably stress-related, Rochelle said. I'll take her if that's okay. Oh, yes, her school bag is right there, Nurse Albright said, pulling Emma's bag out from under the bed. Thank you, Rochelle said, taking the backpack. Thanks, Nurse Albright, Emma said, trying to remember everything that had happened in the vision. No problem, dear. Nurse Albright handed Emma a watermelon-flavored candy, Emma's favorite. Be sure to get plenty of rest. School is almost out, and then you can have a nice, stress-free winter break. She gave Emma a nod, and she gave Emma and Rochelle a small wave as they left the office. What happened? Rochelle said once they were safely in the car. Emma explained everything as Rochelle drove. She told Rochelle about the big argument the day before, which led to why she would try to play peacemaker between Nelly and Nikki in class, which led to why she was in the hallway during class time, which led to the vision that landed her in the nurse's office. And now we're sitting here talking about it, Emma said. Also, why does my wrist hurt so much? She winced as she tried opening her candy. From what Nurse Albright said, you were lying on your wrist when she found you in the hallway. She suggested we go to the doctor and get it x-rayed because you might have broken something. Awesome, Emma said. She stuck one end of the wrapper between her teeth and pulled with her good hand, popping the candy into her mouth. Emma closed her eyes and rested her head on the window. You could have a concussion falling on those hard high school floors, Rochelle said, shaking her head. Is that where we're going now? The doctor's? Emma asked as Rochelle turned down a street. Yes. Now tell me about your vision one more time. Emma told her the vision again. Do you remember the boy in your vision? Rochelle said. You know how sometimes you recognize an actor's voice on television? Like, you know him, but you can't remember from where? It's like that. I mean, I'm not even sure he was a he, you know? Emma said. Just a face you recognized. From school, maybe? Rochelle offered. Maybe, but I don't know for sure. And Nikki wasn't there. She might have been, but I couldn't see her. It was all smoke. Emma had only had a handful of visions that scared her, and this one was quickly pulling into first place. Do you think I saw my own death? I don't think so, Rochelle said, and then after a moment she added, You might have, but there's no way to know for sure. We're here. Support your wrist with your other arm. Emma groaned, and not just from the pain in her wrist. She might have seen her own death. It was not what she wanted to hear, but Rochelle didn't do that. Rochelle told the truth, especially when it was a truth no one wanted to hear. December 17th, 2008. Later. Well, I feel like a giant jerk. I was totally immature, and Emma called me out. Well, me and Nelly. Big time. I tried to apologize after school, but I couldn't find her anywhere. I thought about calling or texting, but this apology is something I need to do. In person. Jumping lines. Nikki looked around her room. She was really just killing time until her next lesson with Gabby. Nikki hadn't even bothered decorating. There was no point in decorating if she was planning to leave in less than a year. Being magical hadn't changed her main plans. There's a bug outside. Hadn't changed her main plans. Finish high school and jet off to college as fast and far away as possible. As she looked around the sparse room, Nikki's gaze landed over her backpack. A little light clicked in her brain, and she remembered the letter she had shoved in her backpack during French. Nikki hopped off her bed and reached her bag in 2 large steps. She found the letter and ripped it open. Inside were 2 letters, one for her and one closed with an old-fashioned wax seal. Nikki opened hers. Merry meet, little witch. I hope all is going well with your training with Gabby and your meditation with Emma. Has the third come round yet? If she hasn't, she will soon enough, dear. Be patient. Excuse me. I should be back tomorrow to resume your training, but until then, give the enclosed letter to Gabby. And, dear, be sure to hug your mother. You have to remember that she didn't grow up with magic, so discovering her first child and husband of 5 years were both magical when you were still so small was a shock. She never dealt with it properly. She never mourned the loss of her dream child, and she never got to know you as her magical little girl. Give her time and love. Always give your love. Blessed be, Grandma Kate. There was a honk from the driveway. Sighing, Nikki stuck Gabby's letter in one of the books she was borrowing from Ethel and threw the book and her journal in her bag as she headed out the door. That is chapter 13 from A Change of Tide. We'll be back here next Friday with chapter 14. If you just can't wait, you can get the book on Amazon. As always, I will leave a link. Whether or not you'll be able to click it, I don't know. But you also could just go to Amazon and search A Change of Tide, DC Contour. Make sure you spell C-O-N-T-O-R. It will want to correct you to C-O-N-T-O-O-U-R. That is incorrect. It's not how my name is spelled. Or you can leave a comment and I can comment back and give you a clickable link from there. So, there you go. Thank you. See you next week.